Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion released in September 2025 for Xbox, PlayStation, the Nintendo Switch 2, and PC through Steam. It currently retails for $70 but you can pick it up on sale for 50% off. With an open world and a main storyline that took me 17 hours to complete, is Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion worth playing on console? This review is going to answer that question.
Turns out Centurions are like computer terminals, and to them, we're nothing more than spare parts. They don't want you, just your brain and nervous system so they can connect directly to the suit. Your memories, agency, gone.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Then they extract genes and nerves from the best of the Centurions and implant them into others to beef them up. Our memories and feelings are just trash.
You're kidding.
Nope. You were this close to losing what makes you, you. We're headed for the ground.
Let's start the review by discussing the graphics and technical performance. The game looks good on PlayStation 5, which is where I played it, but I have heard that the Switch 2 version is a bit rough. That's understandable, as there were obviously some downgrades to get it run smoothly. Daemon X Machina is an open world, and apart from the few loading times between transitions of areas, the game is mostly seamless. And for having the ability to fly through massive terrains with enemies, the graphics isn't that bad. But it's also not perfect. The character models aren't great, and everyone in the game has this single expression and are very stiff, but the power suits you use, called arsenals, look fantastic and very futuristic. For technical performance, the game runs fine, with a bit of stuttering as you transition through the open world. I didn't have any bugs and glitches, apart from the AI, which can be really bad. Enemies will bug out and just stop moving, letting you wail on them until they die. Overall, what I can say is the game looks and plays fine. I wish I could say the same about its story, which is a hot mess. I played the first Daemon X Machina game, which had an almost incoherent story that seemed to pull a lot of things from Armored Core and a bunch of other games and series into a hodgepodge. Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion is not really a sequel to the first game, as its story is barely connected to it. You can just think of this as a standalone game and you're going to be fine, because even if you did play the first game, you probably won't understand what's happening here. The overall concept is that humans were changed by this energy and became something called Outers. They're treated like garbage, and there was a war and the Outers won. Now Outers live in space and humans live on the ground. The game starts right in the middle of what feels like an ongoing story, which is a strange choice for such a weird concept. Your character wakes up from being experimented on, and you escape space to reach the ground, losing your friend Nerve along the way, who you spend the rest of the game wanting to free and rescue. The issues with the story start right away, and it's difficult to explain in a review, but I'm going to do the best I can. Nothing in the game is really explained to you, and none of the characters are very fleshed out. Your character doesn't really have a backstory, even though people throughout the game clearly know who you are. You have friends such as Nerve that you're connected to, but you don't really know why, apart from one throwaway line about growing up together in an orphanage. The game doesn't give you many motivations for this conflict, why people are doing what they're doing. Characters just show up and then are immediately sidelined, or they show up and are supposed to be this big reveal, but we aren't told why that is. And everyone, literally everyone, seems to want to die. There are a lot of character deaths in this game, and each and every time they say that they're looking forward to it. This issue of motivation is mostly on the side of the bad guys, the Axiom, who are looking to destroy humanity. But I'll be honest with you, apart from the fact that the Outers seem to have some kind of special powers, I'm not entirely sure what makes them different from humans. Titanic Scion is essentially 15 to 20 hours of the game throwing story elements at you and shifting concepts, and just kind of trying to see what sticks until the credits roll. Take your character's motivation. First, it's to save Nerve. Then, for some reason, you're fighting for human rights, even though you're part of a group fighting against them earlier. Then you're a paragon of humanity for some reason, all while you act like Cloud in Final Fantasy VII, acting like you're just a mercenary doing a job. Then there are multiple revelations and plot twists that just come out of nowhere with no setup. They have no real impact to the story, and they're poorly explained on why it matters. Overall, in my opinion, the story is a hot mess and easily the worst part of this game.
I'll be right behind you after I beat this guy. Now go! Get away! Nerve!
All functions normal. Commencing ejection.
Nerve! Damn it! I'm coming back! I'm not letting you die!
On the gameplay section of the review, this game is quite different than the first Daemon X Machina game. That one was very similar to, say, Armored Core, where you pilot giant mechs in small areas to progress through missions. Each one has you starting in the base and then transitioning to a small arena map to fight enemies. Titanic Scion feels like somebody got the developer played Anthem and said, let's just do that. From one, the mechs you pilot are called arsenals, just like Anthem. You fly through a large open world, just like Anthem. Everything about the gameplay is so similar to BioWare's Anthem that it makes Titanic Scion not feel like a sequel to the first game. It's completely different. You have a base that you operate out of, selecting and changing your arsenal. You can also upgrade your character using genes you find off monsters, making your appearance change as you progress until you look like a monster yourself. You take on main missions in the base, and they take place in this large open world, but you can also take on side missions, which consist of escort missions, eliminating monsters, and even boss fights. If you've played Anthem, you're going to be right at home with Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. But the game's not perfect. Combat is very unwieldy, with too many controls required for mundane things like reloading your weapons. Rather than having a single button, actions often require you to hold the circle button or another button along with another in order to perform it. When you're in combat, this means things can be chaotic, and you're often just going to resort to basic attacks since you can't really focus on anything else. The UI is also bad. I didn't know you could switch through all 4 of your weapons by using the left and right thumper pads until an embarrassing amount of time into the game. I also found that the damage numbers in the menu the game gives you are pretty meaningless, since things like weak points, types of damage, and stuff like that makes a huge difference, making those numbers a bit unreliable. You also can't switch weapons on the fly. Once your loadout is set from your base, unless you happen to find a new gun in the field, you're basically stuck with what you have. So if you made a poor weapon selection choice, good luck with that. Finally, there's the biggest enemy in this game, and that is the camera. For a game that has you flying around fighting giant monsters, it's incredible how often you actually can't see what you're fighting. The camera is never where you want it to be, and locking onto an enemy is finicky at best. Worst of all, when you fight other mechs and small enemies, they generally move behind you regularly, and the camera just can't keep up with it. The game is designed around these fast speed movements, along with flying, that's tricky to design around with camera, controls, and enemy design. Often you want your opponents to stay at a distance when you have this type of game so that you can see what they're doing, but Daemon X Machina seems to want them up close and personal because you're melee weapons, which doesn't mesh well with fast speed and flying. Overall, it can make the gameplay frustrating at times. It doesn't help that the enemies are damage sponges even on the easier difficulties, and the boss designs are always shooting weak points while dodging lasers or moving out of the way as they charge you.
I feel for you. Those bastards in the Axiom can be stuck in their ways, that's for sure.
None of your business.
Oh, don't be like that. Tell me, you got any connections down here?
I'm on my own, and I'm fine with that. No chance I'm relying on any humans.
You folks from up above really got a grudge against us, don't you? Anyway, we're pretty far out right now. How about you come with me? I won't do you any harm. You've got nowhere else to go, right?
Let's go into the pros and cons of Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. For the pros, you can fly through a vast open world in a similar manner as BioWare's Anthem, but better designed and way more functional. The mechs and the armored suits you use look great. There's a lot of side content you can do to stretch the playtime to 20 or 25 hours. For the cons, the story is nearly incomprehensible and confusing at times. The combat's very clunky and the UI is often poorly designed. The camera is nearly as big of an enemy as the monsters. Look, I don't want this review to seem like I hated this game. It has its good points, but it also has its bad. This is one of those like 6 out of 10 games that you play when you don't have anything else in your queue. I'm sure there's going to be a few people who love this game to bits and a few that hate it, but most people are going to look at it and play it and say meh and move on. That being said, is it worth playing on console? Not for $70 US. That is an absolutely insane price for this game. I would not pay more than $15 or $20 for the amount of content this game has and the quality of the product. You can wait and get Titanic Scion on the sale for 50% off, which it was recently, and I would suspect it will even get more discounts in the coming months. I'm the Casual Console Gamer on YouTube, and I'll see you all in the next review.